everybody that is also a fan of the Pokemon trading card game.
Oh yeah, I've been tweeting about it all weekend, and let's take a look at the bracket to see how these players have got here. Of course, we have Hunter taking down John Eng in that one great match, like back and forth a lot.
Right.
And then, of course, you have Luis taking down Gibson, who we saw actually taking down the mirror match in that Rowlet and Alolan Executor.
Perhaps the most accomplished players in this top 8 were Pablo Mesa and Alex Szymanski, who both went down in the top 8. So seeing these newer generation players really start to take over this format, really start to take over this game is no surprise, honestly, if you've been playing the game for a long time, because it definitely happens pretty often where, you know, the veterans kind of pass the reins on to the new up-and-coming players, and sure enough, this is another one of those situations where the up-and-coming players are just showing that they have exactly what it takes to take these championships home.
Well, hey, the veterans are no slouch. They keep making top 8.
Yeah, no kidding.
But we will crown a new regional champion here, and it looks like our feature match is ready. We are going to have our finals here for the TCG Master Division here in Dallas.
Indeed, it is going to be Luis Duran against Hunter Butler. Hunter Butler on the left, Luis Duran on the right. It is going to be a matchup of 2 Tag Team GX Pokemon. Of course, Garchomp and Giratina GX going up against Gardevoir and Sylveon GX. The type advantage goes to Gardevoir and Sylveon. However, the speed advantage goes to Garchomp and Giratina. It's going to be a battle of, am I going to be able to deal enough damage before you can set up if you're Hunter Butler here, or is Luis Duran going to be able to overpower him?
Yeah, he's going to have to rely on that weakness. You see there that fairy type weakness on that Garchomp and Giratina. So basically, any attack that Luis is going to be able to do is going to take a knockout on a big tag team. Granted, Hunter, mostly the same.
So now if we do see Luis Duran right here, of course, Luis Duran does have the type advantage with that Gardevoir and Sylveon GX. Because of that type advantage, he will be getting one-hit KOs pretty easily. However, that 260 hit points is not big enough, believe it or not, for him to be able to survive a single Calamitous Slash once there's been 2 damage counters placed on the Pokemon.
Yeah, and you see here, this is actually his first day 2 at a regionals here in the Pokemon trading card game, and he has already made the finals. I had the pleasure to watch his winning in for top 8. He actually beat Joe Rudiger, who was playing a Dullstall deck with Comfey because he made his opponent draw a card.
So Joe Rudiger was down to a single card in his deck, and of course, Luis immediately realized that, knew that Comfey was the avenue to victory, and sure enough, forced his opponent to draw his final card of the deck in order to secure that victory and secure his top 8 berth. Now, we do see these prize cards start to get placed on the field. We see a Noibat, the single Noibat in Hunter's deck come down, and then in Luis's deck, we see some pretty solid, reasonable prizes.
Yeah, nothing too bad. It's a good mix of cards that you play multiple of, so it's not going to be that worrisome. Although we do see Luis starts off the game here.
The game does start. We are in game 1 of this finals between Hunter Butler and Luis Duran, and it looks like Luis Duran is going to be the first player to kick things off here with his Spritzy and a Floatstone attached to it now, before he plays a Cynthia and, of course, a Power Plant to go with it. Now, the Power Plant, pretty nice to place on your first turn, especially when you want to just start setting up and thinning your deck in order to find yourself a Gardevoir and Sylveon. Of course, you can't attack right now, so what you want to do is find that Gardevoir and Sylveon, maybe find an energy, and hope that the Gardevoir and Sylveon does not get knocked out. Yes, you heard me correctly. You hope that your Gardevoir and Sylveon does not get knocked out before you can attack.
Yeah, and here we see Luis is really going to have to find at least 2 of those Gardevoir and Sylveon GX. You're going to want to use your first attack, get those 2 energy in play, and then with Fairy Transfer, be able to actually start taking knockouts. Granted, that's a little bit too slow in this matchup. And one thing we haven't really talked about is the ability of Garchomp and Giratina GX to use GG End. You're just able to discard one of your opponent's Pokemon. And if he only has maybe like a Gardevoir and Sylveon in play, that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the power of Hunter's deck. If you're going to try to figure out who has the advantage where, Hunter has the advantage when it comes to erasing your opponent down before Gardevoir and Sylveon can really get going. Now, it might sound silly because it costs 3 energies for him to really start attacking, but then if you really think about it, it's kind of realistic. You have the double dragon energy, which is basically 2 energies of any type, as long as it's on a dragon Pokemon, which of course Garchomp and Giratina is. But you also have things like Tapu Koko. You have lots of ways to really accelerate and potentially knock out your opponent before he can even attack. So now that Hunter's getting going, the first thing he's doing is finding that battle compressor for the double execute. We saw that in the previous match, how it's one of his most critical plays early in the round, early in the game, because then he's able to start Roxying without having to worry about discarding cards, and he just gets to get maximum output out of the remainder of his deck.
Yeah, looks like he's eyeing down a lightning energy, maybe even the Roxy here. And Roxy, that means he most likely has a Versus Seeker in hand.
And there it is. That I believe I saw a Versus Seeker in there.
Yeah,
though
Versus
potentially
Seeker.
not.
He also has a Mysterious Treasure, which is pretty good. He can discard that Mimikyu, which put in a ton of work in top 4. But in this matchup, it is utterly useless.
Mimikyu was not at its finest in this matchup, but it is just an all-star in the deck regardless. Now that Mysterious Treasure did find himself, I believe, a Garchomp and Giratina, right?
Yeah, and then Cherish Ball. This is the Aqua part. So he does have the Chaotic Swell in his hand. He plays those 2 Stadium cards, and it's actually perfect for this matchup just because you can bump the Power Plant, and then if your opponent has another Power Plant, well, it's just going to go in the discard anyway because of Chaotic Swell, and that's exactly what you want.
Indeed. Now, a Field Blower actually gets rid of the Power Plant anyway. Now, we're going to have to wait and see if he decides to play the Chaotic Swell.
Oh, he must not have had it in his hand.
Well, he's going to Dedenne change over there, discarding 3 cards from his hand to draw himself 6 new ones. Now, did he find anything to get going? We saw in his interview how he feels like he can actually just put too much pressure on Luis before he can get going. But, of course, his hand needs to accommodate this. He has yet to play a supporter, right? He has not played a supporter yet.
He opted for the Dedenne change over the Roxys. And I think that's because he's looking to actually Roxy's away Weezing for that blowaway bomb. And maybe even take a knockout on the Spritzy in the active.
There's a computer search, so we now see the Versus Seeker. I don't believe he had a Versus Seeker in his hand before, but now because of computer search, he is going to find access to that. And if he has a Weezing, then at this point we're going to start seeing his deck in full action, as Blowaway Bomb is just going to put some damage counters on the Pokemon as well as draw cards for Hunter.
Roxy's is just such an amazing card right now. Being paired with Execute and that propagation ability, it really just turns into, I'm going to play a card to draw 6 cards most of the time.
We've already seen Hunter draw so many cards, and it's still the first turn of the game. He hasn't even attached an energy yet. Yet he's drawn through about a 1/5 of his deck. Now a Battle Compressor for the second time, getting rid of even more cards from the deck. At this point, he's just thinning it. He wants to make sure that he draws only the optimal cards. And, of course, still gets to look through his deck, still gets to find out what's been prized for him. There's a Lightning Energy hitting the discard pile. Of course, you want to get your Lightnings in the discard pile so that you can maximize your Tapu Koko.
Yeah, well, that's actually the second one here. So if he does have access to Tapu Koko, he'll be able to use it pretty effectively. There's the Chaotic Slow I was talking about, and the Fighting Fury Belt will actually allow him to take the knockout on the active Spritzy here. And Hunter already looking amazing.
So Hunter taking that prize on the Spritzy, leaving only a Gardevoir and Sylveon in play. Now Silent Lab.
No, this is not what you want to see here. And just an energy will do it for Hunter here.
This could very well be it. He just needs an energy. He finds the Shaman through that Ultra Ball. Remember, all he needs is an energy to win this game and move on to Game 2 already. He said he was gonna either win fast or lose a long one, and sure enough, it looks like it may be the former there. And there's an energy, but he can't find it, so he's only able to find a Choice Band through that Trainer's Mail.
And this is the one downfall to this kind of matchup. Luis is really just hoping to tank with a couple Gardevoir and Sylveon GX or the Aromatisse. You move your energy around, max potion your guy.
I see a Sycamore, by the way, but there's a Shaman first. Shaman for 5. All he needs is an energy. And he still has a Sycamore in hand. Does he have the energy? Not yet.
Still has a ton of room to dig here. Ultra Ball.
So Ultra Ball can find him another Shaman, for example, maybe a Dedenne, or a Tapu Lele even. But it actually ends up being the Tapu Koko. Kind of irrelevant in this particular case, but still, you're looking for your energy. That's what you're looking for right now. Mysterious Treasure just hoping to thin the deck out even more. Tapu Lele now. Remember, just looking to thin this deck out, wants to find himself the last energy he needs.
And there's Guzma. He's just going to discard it, most likely benching that Tapu Koko Prism Star before playing that Sycamore. And here we go,
There's a
7
Sycamore,
cards.
7 new cards. At this point, it seems like almost all of his draws are gone. He's got to find that energy through this card.
There
he finds the energy. There's game 1.
Wow.
Going to Hunter Butler.
Wow.
Ooh. Okay, well, it was fast. And Hunter is up 1-0, but he's still not through. He has yet to be crowned a champion. He's got to win one more. But, man, Luis had to feel a lot of he had to be groaning quite a bit after seeing his hand and seeing that it just did not pull through for him.
So seeing the energy come down there and the game 1 being taken for Hunter, what attack do you think he used? Do you think he just GGN?
Well, I think that he didn't flip the GX counter, so I'm sure it was Calamity Slash.
Okay. Lost a little style points there, but
Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen that GX counter get flipped down. That would have been great. But instead, of course, goes up 1-0, does Hunter. Luis Duran has to win 2 games in the span of the remaining time on that clock. Now, remember, this match is just going to be fast. It doesn't matter who wins. It's more than likely going to be a very fast one. Of course, Luis is not as fast as Luis's deck is not as fast as Hunter's. But the moment that he gets all of his energy in play from that point on, he's taking a prize a turn minimum, and more than likely going to be 3.
Well, the one struggle he has in this matchup, other than Hunter beating this matchup in top 8, is the fact that the only way he actually has to search for his Pokemon is Ultra Ball. For Ultra Ball, that's it. You don't see stuff like Bridget, you don't see Nest Ball, you don't see
Cherish
Level Ball, Cherish Ball, not even Tag Call. It is literally only Ultra Ball. So he's going to have to rely on maybe just drawing into them naturally, maybe a big Sycamore to find a couple more. But you saw there where it's just, I got 2 Pokemon, but you had 2 turns, and that's all you needed.
It's been working for him up until now, but it seems like at this point, it's starting to finally fall apart is Luis's strategy here, but it looks like he's actually going to be mulliganing to start this game too. So Hunter will get to draw an additional card. Luis is going to have to shuffle his hand right back into the deck and hope to find a basic Pokemon with a fresh hand of 7. Now, we do see Hunter's prizes start to come down. A Dedenne, an Execute. We know how much he loves those Executes.
Yeah,
and
only plays the 2. And it's kind of crazy seeing him always battle compressed for the 2-way. I was like, wow,
yeah,
man, never lucky.
And we did see that all-star in Comfy there. Comfy getting him into the top 8 because of that win and in, as we spoke.
Well, no, that was Luis.
Oh, there's Comfies on both sides, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
It has been one of those great tech cards, really just for Dead End GX from Darkrai GX. Being able to shut off special conditions on your Pokemon that have a fairy energy attached to it, and Double Dragon does count as a fairy.
Oh, yes, of course. Now, Luis shuffling up. Remember, he had to mulligan, has to draw 7 new cards. If he does not find a basic Pokemon, then that's going to mean even more cards drawn here for Hunter. I believe that's already been 2 mulligans for Luis.
Well, he does have 2 Pokemon in his hand at least. There's that Gardevoir and Sylveon GX, as well as that Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff GX in his hand.
There's the handshake, and now the cards get flipped. It looks like Luis chose to go first.
Yeah, double Guzma in the prizes for Luis here.
So we've seen how Hunter can really take advantage of going second in the past in this in game 1, actually. Now Luis again choosing to go first, and now playing a computer search on his first turn of the game. Wants to find another bench Pokemon, doesn't want the game to end right here. Finds a Spritzy. Spritzy on the bench now. Remember, Spritzy does become Aromatisse, which is just a nice Pokemon
he
to have.
missequenced his turn. So his hand was Computer Search, Ultra Ball, and then some cards he couldn't play, but he had that Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff GX. That is one of the best cards in this matchup right now. Granted, it does get KO'd pretty easily by Calamitous Slash, but it is another way to deal massive amounts of damage. And he did not want to discard that. So with Ultra Ball in hand, yeah, he chose to get the Spritzy instead of getting it with the Ultra Ball, and he needed the Computer Search to grab the Sycamore.
Interesting play. Now, Battle Compressor out of Hunter. We've seen it before, but this time it's only a single execute that gets found with that Battle Compressor, but it does find a Lightning Energy, which of course means that Tapu Koko is getting closer and closer to being a major threat here when it comes to accelerating energies for Hunter. Hunter now continuing his turn with that Noibat as his active Pokemon.
Hunter's hand here is actually insane. So he has the Giratina in his hand. He also has Floatstone, Double Dragon, and I think Versus Seeker. So we could see a pretty insane turn here of Roxy's. Maybe he finds the Weezing and is able to linear attack with a Distortion Door to take the knockout on the Spritzee on the bench. He does have the Floatstone already.
Well, now in the meantime, we see a Shaman in his hand. Could he just go for a setup for about 4, maybe 3? Looks to be about 5, actually.
Oh, he's just going for the knockout on the active. This is how you play the game. You play to win.
It's not a given that he's going to miss it. Like, he can definitely hit that knockout on the active if he finds the right sequence of cards. There's a Mysterious Treasure looking through his deck, potentially going to get him closer and closer to finding that knockout. There's a Weezing hitting his hand. What does he need in order to get this knockout, Jeremy?
He will need an Ultra Ball to find that Tapu Koko Prism. He's going to be able to draw 6 cards with a Roxy here, thanks to that execute in the discard. And with the Weezing, he's going to be able to put a damage counter on that Gardevoir and Sylveon.
So all we're going to need now is a Tapu Koko. A Tapu Koko is what we're looking for. There's a Versus Seeker, finds the Roxy. Roxy discarding that Weezing. 1 damage counter on that Gardevoir now.
All right, Tapu Koko, where are you?
There is a Battle Compressor thinning the deck out once again. Maybe a second Lightning Energy going to hit the discard pile. And there it is. The first card he finds is that Lightning Energy. Now he's starting to get rid of the Battle Compressor. It's done its job. No longer needs more. And of course, Mimikyu, despite being a great Pokemon, just not necessary in this particular matchup. So you get rid of it as well. You start to thin your deck. You start to give yourself the best possible odds of finding your Pokemon. He does have an Ultra Ball in hand. Jeremy, he's got an Ultra Ball.
Oh, no.
Propagation to make the discard a little bit less dangerous here. Finds the Tapu Koko.
What an insane turn here from Hunter. He's going to be able to take the turn 1 knockout on the Gardevoir and Sylveon GX.
Fighting Fury Belt. That Fighting Fury Belt was crucial there. Fighting Fury Belt now finding him everything he needs. He's going to get this knockout. He's going to get a 3-prize KO, and he's going to leave his opponent with only a single Spritzee in play.
Oh, no. And we know Luis's hand, and it is not good. He ended up discarding the only supporter he had with that computer search, and with no kind of support Pokemon to get, no Shaman EX, no Detonate GX, he's going to be relying on the top of his deck.
Finds a Naganadel and Guzzlord Tag Team GX. No doubt going to be powering it up too with that Tapu Koko. What a great start once again for Hunter. We've seen it before. We've seen it this entire tournament. Why not see it one last time? There it is. Tapu Koko going away, but not before finding 2 Lightning Energies, 1 on each of these Tag Team GX Pokemon. Up comes Garchomp and Giratina. Down goes Gardevoir and Sylveon. And 3 prizes taken by Hunter. Only a single Pokemon remaining, and it's a lowly Spritzee.
Cynthia off the top for Luis here, and a Guzma will secure the game here, and Hunter Butler is your 2020 Dallas Regional Champion here for the Masters TCG.
Guzma combined with GG and GX means GG, and it means Hunter Butler is your regional champion here in Dallas, Texas.
Oh man, this was a long time coming. It is unfortunate misstep there for Luis that one turn, but
I don't know if it would have mattered.
I don't think it would have mattered.
I don't know if it would have mattered. I think that it was just Hunter's tournament to win. It was, like he said, he thought it was going to be over. He thought that he was going to be playing Vileplume in the finals, and he was just going to be signing the slip. No point in playing it. What's the point? Instead, of course, he gets one of the most favorable matchups he can possibly have, and sure enough, his deck delivered when he needed it the most. One more round to go for him, and he sure enough, he took it down. He beat that Gardevoir and Sylveon in maybe like 10 minutes tops total.
Yeah, I think it was 11 minutes after everything, and
it was no more than like 5, 6 total turns.
No, yeah. I think he had 4 turns.
Take the under. Yep, indeed it was. It was just a master class of playing that deck. It really shows how, despite it not having, Double Dragon Energy in Standard, it's a powerhouse there. You add that Double Dragon Energy, I mean, it's got to be one of the top contenders moving on in this expanded format.
Yeah, move over Zorark. Right now, it is Garchomp and Giratina GX's time to shine. And it has been one great weekend. And what to make the most out of your opportunity here in
Indeed.
Dallas.
So congratulations one more time to Hunter Butler, your 2020 Dallas Regional Champion here in the Masters Division. Couldn't be more of an exciting finish. It was a great tournament all around, and after 14 long rounds, after a great top 8, we cut down to one champion, and that was Hunter Butler, who we will have a word with in just a few short